Welcome to another reading vlog. It's Monday night, if you couldn't tell. I did finish Just Cause for Small Towns today. I didn't have much left. It still took me like most of the day to finish this because I got super distracted. I got home from work, breakfasted, was reading a bit. I listened to a couple of hours of The Luminous Dead while I was playing Animal Crossing. Like an hour of that, and then we ended up taking Jesse to the hospital. He was having heart pain, like chest pain, and dizziness and stuff, probably related to his anemia. But so we had to take him in to check all that out, so he wasn't like dying from anything. When I was there for an hour, because the visiting time was limited to an hour, while we had the initial consult and stuff. And then when I got back, I made a cheesecake, and then I went to work. And then I came home from work, I ate a dinner, watched some YouTube videos, and now we're here. But I did, in that time, finish Dress Code for Small Towns. This is a contemporary, small town, obviously, and really is a lot about friendship dynamics and like sexuality and identity. And I loved everything about this except the religious stuff, but mainly just because I can't relate. Like, I didn't not like it, I just couldn't relate, you feel. I don't know what I'm gonna rate this. I really did enjoy it. I feel like it's a 5-star. It's like, it would be a 4.5, but I'm rounding up kind of thing. It was really, really good. And then I've started, but I'm still working on it. I'm gonna do that now before I go to bed. The next read, it's a whole spiel. This is by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and it's called Aftershocks, and it features a main character with OCD, so that's what I'm currently working on. And then when I've read that, I'm going to start tonight, which I was hoping to get like halfway through today, but my day just kind of got derailed, working on The House in the Cerulean Sea. So I'm going to start that tonight as well. I'm determined. And even if it's just like 20 or 30 pages, I'm gonna try some of that tonight. But yeah, I did read a chunk of The Luminous Dead, so we are moving ahead on that front. And my goal this week is to read The House on the Cerulean Sea, Heart of Flames, which is chunky, by, I can't remember the author's name, and The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski. And if I can also get to The Dragon Prophecy, that would be great. That's the plan. That's what we're trying to get through this week. But Heart of Flames is like 700 pages, so wish me fucking luck. And it's already end of Monday. We're already down a day. So I'm about 50 pages into House on the Cerulean Sea, and I'm sure I've talked before, if you've seen previous vlogs of mine, I've talked before about how I'm not a particularly visual reader. I don't tend to like see every scene played out in my head. That's just not how my brain works. But occasionally I will read books that the descriptions and the writing style really lend themselves to movie imagining. And I will see like little scenes. Harry Potter's a good example of this, where the world building is really like vibrant. And this is another one of those where you can just imagine this as a movie. And the way the set design would be done and stuff like that. Like, I can see it in my head. This is very rare for me. The average book, I don't imagine at all. And it doesn't bother me. But when I can imagine, it's like something extra special. We're 50 pages into this and already like I can see the set design, and that's something special. So that is a big plus for this book. I do think also the cover design was really well done, because yes, that matches this to a T. If it was directed by anyone, it would be directed by Wes Anderson. That's what this book is. This is a Wes Anderson movie. Hi. So today, what have I done? I've done a bit of housework. I did work. I got during work, got through and playing Animal Crossing, got through the middle like half of the Luminous Dead, which I am not loving as much as everyone else seems to. I think it just is not the kind of horror that gets to me on an emotional level. There have been a handful of scenes that I really felt, but they tended to be the gorier ones. I feel like the agoraphobia stuff is not a fear of mine. Like, I don't really have a fear of like caves and stuff. So in that respect, that didn't really bother me. I have the few things that maybe might get to me are the like where suddenly there's a face in front of you. That's my fear more than caves. It's like someone being closer to you than you realize, but it's very specific to that. So there's been a handful of scenes in that regard that have got me, but the majority of it, I don't feel that like a sense of unease that other people seem to feel while reading this. And so it seems to just be dragging on a little too much for me. It's a little too long. It's also had like, there's not a solid plot. Like there is, but the focus isn't the plot. It's kind of like a personal journey through like these horrors. And it's quite slow. So I think it's just not for me, I think. It's not my kind of horror. I was hoping it would be, but it's not. I also read the next story in It's a Whole Spiel, which was called Good Shabbos, and it's by O.W.Ls, and I loved it. It was so funny. I do think this collection, like, I'm not getting as much from it as perhaps someone who is Jewish would. I'm getting different things from it. I'm learning a lot, but I feel like if you're Jewish, you would really feel seen and represented in this, and obviously I'm not, so I don't have that. But I have yet to have a story that I didn't enjoy the way it was written and the way it was paced. And nearly every collection I always have like one or two stories that I just find a drudge to get through. There hasn't been any yet so far in this. I do have quite a few left to go though. I'm probably like a third of the way through this. But obviously I am reading like a story a day, so we'll read another one of them tomorrow. And then otherwise I've been working on The House in the Cerulean Sea. I'm now just shy of 100 pages. I'm on page 88. My aim is to get to at least page 200 today. I want to get a little further than that. 300 would be ideal, but I don't know if it's quite achievable. But we're aiming for at the least page 200, which is chapter 11-ish. I am loving this. This is one of those books where I feel like instantly as soon as I started reading it, it felt like a 5-star read. And I think it's in the way it's so like cinematic and visual. I'm not a visual reader. I was talking about this before. This is a Wes Anderson movie. It's just like so perfect. Like, it's a little tropey, but in the best ways, like in the ways where they're kind of subverting their own tropes, but like the trope feeds into the Wes Anderson-ness of it all, you feel. And I'm just really enjoying it. It's so good. It's like in a world that's similar to ours, but just different enough that there's so many magical and fantastical things to explore. But also is rooted in our reality to a sense. In the mundanity of our reality. And I love that so much. I love it. I'm just obsessed so far. I feel like I've barely started, but I also feel like I've been in love with it the entire time. And I think the only way it would get less than a 5-star from me is if the ending really wasn't to my taste, which I don't think it will be. Like, I think I will love it. So I'm anticipating a 5-star for this for sure. I've got food in the oven, so I'm gonna be kicking on that. I start work soon, so I'm gonna eat and then go to work and be working on this during my shift. So that's the plan. We're gonna finish Luminous Dead tomorrow. Hopefully also finish this tomorrow if we can. And then start on the big boy, which is Heart of Flames by Nikki Paprota. He's chunky. Anyway, I'm gonna go check the food. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, yes. I just finished listening to The Luminous Dead. I ended up giving this a 4 stars, I think, because it was technically great. but I just didn't get the full emotional impact that I feel like I wanted from it. I wanted to be fully unnerved and disturbed, and it ended up just like being kind of neutral. Like, I think I was talking about it just isn't the right fear for me to be like work as a horror. I didn't get horror vibes from it. I got like survivalist without the horror. There were a few creepy moments, but they were kind of like sparse. I just felt, yeah, like it didn't quite deliver for me. But that's fine. Technically, it was brilliant. So I gave it 4 stars. I just missed out on the 5-star because it didn't like emotionally gut me. But that is done now. I'm gonna start Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt. That's my next audiobook. I'm also gonna, before I start crack in on my work, I'm gonna read the next story in It's a Whole Spiel. I'm also like, I didn't get as far through last night in The House on the Cerulean Sea as I'd planned. I got to about 150 rather than 200. I just got a bit busy. We watched MasterChef instead, so I'm gonna work on that today as well. I'm gonna try and finish it today, but I don't think that's possible. I want to get really fast through it. But yeah, we're gonna read this story and It's a Whole Spiel, and then settle in to do a couple of hours of work listening to Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt, which I'm hopeful I will really like. So I'm having one of those weeks where I'm just like not reading as much physically as I feel like I should be. It's Thursday morning. I've worked this morning, and then worked this afternoon, and work tonight. So today's not going to be a particularly big reading day. And I'm only like just over 200 pages in to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I was wanting to finish it by today, or even by yesterday, and it just is not happening. It's like, I love this, it's beautiful, I'm enjoying every minute of it, but it's just slow going. Like, I'm not finding many moments to sit down with it, and when I do, I feel like I've been reading for a while and I'm not very far. So yeah, I have listened to a lot of audiobooks because I've had a bit more time for that, but this has been slow going, so I feel like I'm not gonna get everything I wanted to get read this week read, but I'm gonna try and finish this no later than tomorrow, and then spend the weekend slamming through Heart of Flames. Maybe we'll see if we can do it. I don't know if it's actually achievable, but we're gonna try. Anyway, I'm also listening to Burn the Dark, and I'm enjoying this, though not as much as I thought I would. It's solid so far, but I feel like I don't quite understand the plot yet, if that makes sense. There's threads there, but I don't quite really see where it's trying to go yet. But hey, it's a good time. We're enjoying it. I also need to read a story from It's a Whole Spiel today. Which this one's called O.W.L.L or ELAL 328 E1A1 3. No, it's Ls. And this is by Dana Schwartz. So that's on the cards today. Yeah, I don't know, these past couple of days I've just felt like I've had no time for physical reading. And yeah, we have Thursdays, don't we? Don't we, folks? I better start getting ready for work. So I just read the next story in It's a Whole Spiel, and it's probably the first one I'm not sure if I liked. Mainly because it was not very cathartic. In fact, it left a lot more questions than it answered. It was just, I don't know, it was not my fave. It was fine reading it, but I wanted it to be like it's kind of got a sad ending, and I wanted it to come full circle and have a happy ending, if that makes sense. But I am gonna put this down for, I'm not gonna read any more today. The next one's called Some Days You're the Psychic, Some Days You're the Superhero by Catherine Luck, but I will read that tomorrow. My lunch is gonna arrive any minute, but I think during lunch, I've been playing a bit of Animal Crossing, but during lunch I think I'm gonna jump in and work on The House in the Cerulean Sea. This morning at work I read like 20 or so pages, but I think I'll read a bit while I'm eating lunch, and then get in on starting some work this afternoon, like other work. So that's kind of the plan. But I did listen to a little bit of Burn the Dark. Again, I'm now like almost 40% through, and I feel like I just kind of don't understand the point of Burn the Dark, like where it's trying to go. I'm just not sure. So yeah, we'll see, I guess. I'm sure it'll be fine and I'll like it in the end, but at the moment it's kind of a 3-star reading. I was hoping for it to be like a 5-star, but I just kind of don't see where it's going. So yeah. Yes. Okay, it's a bit loud outside. They're cutting down a tree near me, but oh, there we go. That suddenly got quieter. I think they're almost done, but I wanted to put this book away, so I'm going to chat to you about it. I finished The House on the Cerulean Sea last night. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's such a like, it's not the adventure we had but the friends we found along the way kind of story. It's pretty like, it's very character driven. It's just so beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. So we follow Linus, who's like 40 something, and he's a caseworker for the department in charge of magical youth. And he kind of, it's his kind of journey from like mindless agent of the government to like an actual social worker that cares kind of thing. And it's got a very sweet male-male romance and a bunch of children that are just fascinating and hilarious, and I loved them all so much. It's just so good. This was like an instant 5 stars from the moment I started reading, and it never disappointed me. It was just so beautiful. I would 100% recommend this book to like everyone. And then I've since picked up as my next read Heart of Flame by Nikki Paparetto, which is chunky. I've got it here. It's like so thick. It's like over 600 pages, or almost 600 pages. I'm a whole 36 pages in, but I just started that last night, but I also had to train someone at work, so it was not a shift where I could do much reading. I'm about to go do some housework and listen to my audiobook of Burn the Dark while I'm there, and then get in on some schoolwork, some like uni work, and listen while I'm doing that. But I will also try and read a story of It's a Whole Spiel today. I think I was saying the next one is Some Days You're the Sidekick, Some Days You're the Superhero by Catherine Locke. So I will read, alrighty, I will read that today as well. So yeah, read The House on the Cerulean Sea. Just read it. So I've been working on reading Burn the Dark the last couple of hours while I was doing my work. And I realized, I think I figured out why it's a 3-star read, and I'm not sure if it's exclusive to the audiobook, and it might have been better if I was reading the physical read. But basically, I feel connected to the main character. I'm like 90% through, I'm almost done really. But I feel connected to the main character, and I kind of understand where she's at. But I feel a disconnect between her and the plot. I feel like the plot's kind of all over the place and doesn't feel like it follows a conventional like build structure. This was self-published, so maybe that ties into that. This was originally self-published, so maybe that non-conventional narrative structure ties into that. But it kind of felt then like I was just reading the middle of a book for a whole book. That makes sense. And then the side characters all felt like I couldn't connect to them, but I don't know why. Might be part of the narration, might be that I'm listening to audiobook and not reading physically. I'm honestly not 100% sure. But yeah, between not feeling super connected to any of the side characters and only really connected to the main character, and this kind of disconnect with the plot because it doesn't really have a conventional narrative structure, I'm just having a hard time. But it's enjoyable. I just feel like it's lacking. Like, it's missing something that would make it better and more. It is pretty dark. It's like kind of like a combo of it's tacked as like Sabrina, like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, kind of a bit Buffy kind of, but that kind of like gory but also funny. And it's set in modern times, and our main character is a YouTuber who uploads like vlog styles, like Blair Witch Project style, like GoPro cams of her fighting witches. And then she's going back to her hometown to confront the coven that she thinks killed her mum. But like, it's very meandering as a plot. I don't know, it's very strange. It's very weird. Anyway, I've got like an hour left, but I finished doing my work, so I don't kind of want to just lie in bed and do nothing while listening to an audiobook. So I think I'll switch to a physical read, maybe even take a nap. But I will definitely finish that tomorrow, if not later today, because it's only what, like almost 4 o'clock, so that's time. But yeah, I might take a little nap, read a book, like read a physical book, read the next story, and it's a whole spiel. And yeah, we're gonna go from there. Yes. Okay, so I finished listening to Bend the Dark this afternoon. I think it's like a 2.53 stars. I didn't hate any of it, but I feel like it really suffered from like I talked before about how I felt like its pacing was very flat and it didn't really have a climax. Or at least in the audiobook it felt that way. Like I feel like it didn't really ramp up to anything. It was just kind of meandering along. And I think that was consistent throughout. It never really picked up. It didn't really have a fast-paced ending. In fact, it didn't feel like an ending. And part of that may be that I was tuning out of some parts of the audiobook, but normally like the last third of an audiobook I might fully invested in. If I'm going to tune out, it's going to be somewhere near the start. And I feel like it felt like a middle book the whole way through. Like it felt like the middle portion of the book the whole way through. So it kind of just was a bit meh. I'm giving it 3 stars, but it's like more like a 2.5. I don't know if I will pick up the sequel. It comes out pretty soon. It was just, yeah, very average, which I don't know how to feel. I just felt very neutral about it the whole way through. There were elements I really enjoyed. I really liked that it was clearly embedded in current times, but not in a cheesy way. It didn't come across as corny or cheesy. But yeah, the plot just didn't go anywhere, which was kind of disappointing. So, yep. Kind of don't know how to feel about that. I'm not going to pick up another audiobook today. I ended up picking up a shift instead. But I'm going to, I did read the next story in It's a Whole Spiel, which was called He Who Revives the Dead, which I was just neutral about. It was fine, but it wasn't anything stunning, you know. The next one's called Be Brave and All, which I'll read tomorrow. But for now, until my shift, I'm going to buckle down with Heart of Flames. I want to try and, I didn't read as much yesterday as I was hopeful for, so I have a couple of hours till work. And it's now almost 2 and I start at 4:30. So I'm going to try and read at least 100 pages before I go to work. You can tell I had to put on moisturizer because my hands were so dry last night, and the cover for this has just like absorbed the fat from the moisturizer. Like, they're not greasy, they're just moisturized. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna crack in on that and see if I can get a good chunk through that before I have to go to work. I want to try and get like heat way more than halfway through. Like if I could get 3/4 of the way through tonight, that would be ideal. At least 2/3, because I definitely want to not be reading it past tomorrow. Alright, so I'm about to head to work. Actually, I should, oh no, flick the light off. I'm about to head to work for the afternoon, but I just wanted to check in on Heart of Flames. I'm probably about 1/3 of the way through now. I thought I'd just check in on the thoughts. I read Crown of Feathers maybe for Newts last year. Can't quite remember when I read it. The first book in the series. And at the time, I think I gave it a 3 stars because I thought the characters and the plot was super fun, but it was pretty info dumpy, especially at the start, and it got a bit better towards the end. But the plot twists and the plot was super fun, as is the premise. And I thought it had great potential to go into book 2. I do think this is still a little info dumpy, but I think I figured out it's because the world is so expansive and the author's done so much preparation and planning for the world but she just hasn't quite finessed how to naturally incorporate that into the story in a way that doesn't come across as like, oh, this thing happened, like they just performed like an oath for each other, but it's kind of the first time it's ever been brought up, and then the history of that oath is then kind of explained afterwards. And it's maybe just not the best world building technique, because it comes across very like, oh, I'm just giving you this information now because I wanted to include that moment, but it wouldn't have any context or understanding if I didn't explain to you why it was important, kind of thing. I don't know, it's, yeah, the world building is a little shaky but interesting, just like not ideally incorporated into the story, but the actual plot I'm really enjoying. I'm interested to see how it's all going to pan out. There's a couple of like major thread points, kind of like 3 different groups, and their interactions are kind of the main basis. Of the plot. And I feel like how the 3 connect are really going to ramp up in this, whereas the first one kind of had 2 plots that were very separate, and one was like these 2 and one was these 2. But how they're all going to interconnect is really ramping up in this book. I thought this was a duology, but somebody told me it was a trilogy. So we've got this big chunky ass 600-page book, and then there's going to be another one, presumably as chunky or chunkier. Anyway, I'm gonna take it to work with me. So I'm a third of the way through. I want to get 2/3 of the way through today if I can. That's what I'm aiming for, because I would like to finish it with time to spare to start on the next thing on my list tomorrow. This is for Care of Magical Creatures, if that wasn't kind of obvious. But yeah, I'm enjoying it much more than the first one. I feel like it reads on the info dump scale kind of as much as the end of the first book, whereas sorry, I ran out of space on my memory card. Yeah, so it definitely is like a little info dumpy, a little bit lame on the world building, but not as bad as the start of the last book was, and it's not holding me back from enjoying the plot as much as I felt like the start of the first book was. So yeah, I'm really excited to keep going. Like, it's so big. Alright, so it's Sunday morning. Was I planning to get more than halfway through Heart of Flames last night? You betcha. Did I? No, I was just under halfway through. I'm now a little over halfway through, but it is like almost 11 o'clock, and I've been reading a bit this morning. I've read about almost 100 pages, I think. Kind of almost 100 pages. Like 80 pages. I don't know if I'll actually finish this tonight. I'm going to try to. I have also been listening to A Dungeon in Cairo by Peter Jelly Clark, which is available on Scribd. It's a Tor.com novella, or Tor.com short story even, I think. It's available on audiobook. So I've been listening to that. I'm going to finish it when Jesse's finished playing Animal Crossing, and I'll go do all my Animal Crossing daily stuff and finish it then. And otherwise I'm going to focus working on this today. I will take It's a Whole Spiel with me to work tonight, and if I manage to finish this tonight, I'll pick it up the next story. Otherwise I'm just going to not read a story today, because I want to try and like slam through as much of this as possible. I start work at 4:30. But I'm there all night, so hopefully I'll get a chance to read another couple 100 pages there. So maybe I'll get finished. I don't know. We're crossing our fingers. We're definitely not going to be finished like early today with time to start the next read down. It's going to be a push. So we better keep pushing on. Anyway, I was going to talk about the fact that this book has the dumbest, like, you can see at the top above where it says Sev, because that's like the chapter point of view. Above that, it has a little quote. It has these like chapter quotes, and they're just, they're so irritating because I can't absorb them because they're like 2 sentences. But the they're relevant but not relevant specifically to the chapter. Maybe if you tie them all together they tell a story, but it feels like they jump whole sections. They just don't quite make sense. I feel like I know whose point of view they're from, but like it's hard to tell why they exist, if that makes sense, and they kind of get on my nerves. But alas, can't be helped. I feel like they're just there to be decorative in a sense, like just that they look cool, so the author put them in. And I think they could have just been removed and it would have been fine. I don't think they serve enough of a purpose. God, my eyebrows are looking like bushy as shit today. Hi. Welcome to my face. Anyway, I'm gonna hunker down. I don't know how much I will update you today. I feel like it doesn't have enough stuff going on for me to like give you like hourly updates of how I'm feeling. It's alright, it's good, but just like I'm kind of neutral about it. It's nothing like breathtaking. It's not bad. It's just alright. So I'll talk to you later. Good morning. I better wrap up this last vlog. Okay, so did I say yesterday when I was talking to you last that there was no way I was going to finish Heart of Flames yesterday? I surprised myself. I did finish Heart of Flames yesterday. I ended up giving this 4 stars, but I think if Goodreads offered me half stars, it would be like a 3.5. It was really fun, really good, but I do think the writing isn't perfect. It's a little bit predictable, or just like the twists and turns aren't as like clever as they could be. They're kind of like, oh, you could see them not coming from a mile away, but like it was the natural progression without anything kind of extra or clever. But it was fun and strong, like pace and action wise. And I really liked that it kind of opened up the scope of the world a bit, and I really think I can see where the trilogy is going overall in the next book, which I'm really interested in. The romance is, I think, well balanced because it's not particularly like lovey-dovey. It's more like strong bond, though it is magically enhanced, so like it is a little bit not insta-lovey, but it happens pretty, like their bond exists kind of instantaneously to a degree. And then the biggest character dynamic really in here is the familial relationships, which I think are done so well. They really kind of like target that nuance between like, I hate you and I think what you do is deplorable, but you're still my family and I still want to be able to redeem you even if you can't be redeemed, if that makes sense. It's that like hunt for redemption for a family member. And I thought that was really well handled in here. And although this is chunky, it kept up the pace. I don't think it was particularly slow. There was just a lot that happened. So yeah, I enjoyed this. So I gave it a 4 stars. But I do think, yeah, the writing style is a little simplistic. It's a little info dumpy. The world building is not the most natural. And I do hate all the like, so a lot of the world building is done in these like documents that are kind of interspersed in, I think, to capitalize on that like mixed media hype train. But I don't think, like, I think it gets a little lazy on that front. Like, it doesn't work hard for the world building, and they kind of just interject weirdly, and especially the like quotes at the start of the chapters. I'm like, these don't need to be, they don't serve a purpose for the story. But overall, I really enjoyed my time reading this. I'm definitely going to pick up the 3rd book, which I wasn't sure I was going to do after the first one. But I did really enjoy it, and I'm interested to see how book 3 plays out, considering the ending of book 2. So then I also managed to pick up some other stuff. I started Horror Store on audiobook, which I'm like 20 pages in, so we'll talk about that in my next vlog. I did read the next story in It's a Whole Spiel, which was called Be Brave and All by Laura Silverman. It was alright. I didn't love it, but it was good. It was fine. And so I've only got a couple more stories left in this. And then, or a few, I shouldn't say a couple, it's not two, it's like 4. And then I also started in on the Midnight Lie, which is my next read, which is for herbology. And I'm about 50 pages into this, and I'm enjoying it so far, but I will talk about that more in my next vlog. That's where we're at. I feel like I need to get more creative with these vlogs. If you have any ideas, like my problem is I live with 3 other people. My house is never clean. Or if it is, it lasts that way for about 5 minutes. So I feel like I can't do anything particularly aesthetic in my house. But I feel like I want more from these vlogs. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, please leave them with me. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you soon with my next vlog, which will be we'll be continuing on the owls. This has been week 3? 2? 3? 3? I can't remember. I think it's 2 of the owls. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it was week 3. Oh, I can't even remember. It's been the owls. It'll still be the owls next week. And I will chat to you later. And I'll also have some other content up this week, so keep an eye out for that. My TBR, my anticipated reads for May are coming out this week. And so keep an eye out for those. And I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!